Well, the India-UK FTA or the CETA is finally across the line after a course of 3.5 years, and we have a key person who has been involved in the process right from the start and seen to its very end. And we have with us India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal with us. First of all, many congratulations for getting this across the line.
Thank you very much. This has really been a labor of love. And I must compliment Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Keith Starmer for their leadership, both the teams which put in hours and days and nights of hard work. It's come to fruition at a very opportune time and opens up vast opportunities for businesses on both sides.
How would you quantify the benefits? Because the UK has been very clear, 4.8 billion British pounds per annum, 0.1% of the GDP added every year, $6 billion in a spin-off as well, $6 billion of, again, pounds. So for India, what does it mean?
Well, these are estimates, but for the Indian perspective, we are a highly cost-competitive, high-quality economy. Our production of labor-intensive products in textiles and food processing, our various agricultural products, our footwear and leather products, furniture, all of these have a huge market in the United Kingdom, which is the world's 6th largest GDP. And I can clearly see that India will have a comparative advantage. Products which are labor-intensive will get huge traction in the United Kingdom because of the double convention, double contribution convention that we have approved. Now our workers, our talent which comes to UK to work, for the first 3 years will not be required to pay social security which goes into the treasury, but they do not get any benefit out of it. They have to pay that in their Indian Provident Fund account, which will be their savings. So that will be a huge benefit for all those who come for temporary work in the United Kingdom. Apart from that, this will spur investments on both sides because given the certainty and stability that a free trade agreement provides, it is quite obvious that manufacturers, MSMEs, our food processing industry, textile industry, all of them can now look for long-term contracts and long-term business potential.
Mm-hmm. And does it also sufficiently, I would not say protect because that's a different connotation, but safeguard the interests of our industries and farmers, particularly youth as well and women in the rural areas?
All the sensitive items like dairy or rice and sugar, all of them where there was any concern whatsoever have been kept out of the FTA. Both sides had agreed very early on that we will respect each other's mutual sensitivities. And I'm happy to report that not a single item which could be sensitive from our farmers' perspective, from our women's perspective, from our MSME's perspective has been opened up. So it'll be a situation where India will only stand to gain with almost no sacrifice.
And in terms of coming into effect, that will take some time, but it's also being said that it will double the levels of trade and take it into the zone of 120 billion US dollars by 2030. So you see that will come into fruition?
I'm quite confident that this will give a boost both for trade in goods and services. And the $120 billion target of 2030 is eminently doable. The advantage of the free trade agreement, you're right, it may take a few months by the time they get the parliamentary approval, but it provides the certainty to businesses to start looking at India as a part of their supply chains, to start developing sources in India for supporting their requirements in UK. And the UK tariff structure was such that all labor-oriented goods had high duties. And that will now go away. So that gives us the comparative advantage, something that for years Indian industry has been looking for.
And does it also account for the kind of disruptive impact AI itself is having on any sort of human productivity and how to tackle that particular aspect while ensuring that, of course, there's progress on the question of generating more business and income?
Well, the AI story is written separately. The trade agreement does not directly look at AI. But because our services will become more competitive in UK, almost 25% of the cost of employment used to go away into social security payments, which didn't benefit the employee. That saving will help Indian service providers become more competitive in UK and therefore open up newer and newer opportunities, even in the field of artificial intelligence or quantum computing.
It will also bring down cost of doing business. And you're also involved in several other negotiations with, very weighty sort of trade agreements with the US, with the EU, and others. So do you think that this will send out a loud enough message to everyone who's trying to strike a deal with India that, look, we are looking very seriously to strike a very substantive deal if the other side is willing?
India is very practical and pragmatic in its approach. All trade negotiations stand on their own legs, and different negotiations are going on across the world, east to west, right?
Somebody's talked about a 1st of August deadline.
Well, every deal, every transaction, every opportunity will be seized in the interests of India, in the interests of Indian workers, Indian labor, Indian farmers. And I can assure you that given the huge potential that a 1.4 billion young population provides, given that we are the world's fastest growing large economy today, already in the top 5, will become the 3rd largest in the next 2 years. I think all countries around the world, advanced economies, developed economies, are looking for robust, win-win trade agreements, balanced trade agreements with India.